The Vanishing Hitchhiker is an urban legend about a ghostly traveler who accepts a ride only to disappear before reaching their destination. There's something profoundly wrong about the human need to pick up strangers on empty highways. It's like we crave a little roulette with mortality, a whisper of the supernatural in exchange for companionship. You're driving through rain-smeared glass, headlights cutting ribbons through fog, and there she is, white dress, eyes like unsent text messages, thumb extended like an accusation. You stop? Of course you do. The car door opens, she sits, and everything smells faintly like old flowers and inside of a coffin that's seen too much February. She tells you her name, maybe where she's going. You talk to fill the void, both pretending the static on the radio isn't whispering your eulogy. Then you look over, and she's gone. No scream, no sound, just an indentation on the seat and the echo of your own foolish hope that reality has boundaries. People love to call it a ghost story, but it's not. It's a mirror. It's every person who ever wanted to be known and then evaporated mid-sentence. The hitchhiker doesn't vanish. You do, every time you pretend the world makes sense. Bloody Mary is an urban legend about summoning a vengeful spirit by chanting her name into a mirror. This is not a ritual. It's a dare disguised as nostalgia. You stand in a bathroom at 3 a.m., your face half dissolved in flickering light, whispering her name like an apology to something ancient. Kids do it for thrills. Adults do it silently, calling their own regrets by different names. Mary, Mary, Mary. If she appears, what does she even want? Revenge? Validation? Or maybe she's just sick of being summoned by sleep-deprived middle schoolers armed with iPhones and trauma. There's a version of this where Mary was a queen, another where she was a witch, and another where she's just every woman punished for being visible. I like to think she stares at the mirror, unimpressed, wondering why no one's invented a legend that actually terrifies her. Mirrors are cruel. They don't reflect truth. They reflect persistence. You look long enough, and something looks back. The face you see isn't hers. It's yours, stripped of denial. She's not the ghost. You are, rehearsing the same invocation every morning. I'm fine. The Slit-Mouthed Woman is a Japanese urban legend about a vengeful spirit who asks, "Am I beautiful?" while concealing a mutilated mouth. There's elegance in her cruelty, an artist of insecurity. Picture it. A woman wearing a surgical mask long before it was fashionable, stepping from the shadows of suburban Japan. Scissors glinting like punctuation marks at the end of your sanity. She asks, "Am I beautiful?" And there's no correct answer. Say yes. She reveals her grotesque smile and carves yours to match. Say no, and she kills you anyway. It's the purest form of social commentary. Centuries of societal obsession with beauty distilled into one deranged question. She's every glossy magazine cover, every influencer angle, every algorithmic beauty filter given flesh. You think you're safe behind your phone screen, but she's already there, in every pixel that asks for approval. Maybe she isn't a ghost at all. Maybe she's an echo of our collective vanity, the weaponized need to be seen as perfect. The scissors? Just a metaphor for the comment section. So, next time you scroll through your feed, remember, the Slit-Mouthed Woman doesn't need to chase you. You invited her in the moment you asked the internet, "Do I look okay?" The Black-Eyed Children are an urban legend about eerily polite, pale-skinned kids with pitch-black eyes who appear at night, begging to be let inside. There's something fundamentally wrong about politeness at the wrong volume. "Please, may we come in?" Said in a tone so measured it feels like a threat in business casual. These children knock on doors like Jehovah's Witnesses from another dimension. Their voice is syrup-thick with rehearsed innocence. You look through the peephole, and those eyes, those impossible, bottomless eyes, stare back like tiny black holes trying to gentrify your soul. Every version of the story ends the same. You either let them in and vanish, or slam the door and live, but never comfortably again. I think about that sometimes when I hear a knock past midnight. What if horror isn't about monsters, but about boundaries? The primal fear of saying no to something that sounds too human to reject. I once imagined the Black-Eyed Children running a startup. We optimize entry points for maximum compliance. Their pitch deck has one slide, a door slightly ajar. Their KPI? How many of us mistake pity for permission? They don't need your blood. They just want your invitation. And you'll give it, because that's what humans do when something unnatural says, please. The smiling man is an urban legend about a deranged figure who stalks people at night, dancing and smiling without reason or rhythm. He's joy turned inside out. Picture this. You're walking home under sodium orange streetlights, earbuds in, thinking about death or heartbreak, or both. And there he is, smiling. Not the warm kind. The too wide, teeth-bared, factory error kind of smile. And he's dancing, jerky, spasmodic, like a marionette whose strings are pulled by caffeine and malice. He doesn't chase you. He doesn't speak. He just moves closer, rhythm unraveling, until you realize you're witnessing a celebration of discomfort, a grotesque ballet choreographed by your fear response. What gets me isn't the horror, it's the absurdity. The way your brain tries to narrate logic into nonsense. Maybe he's drunk. Maybe it's performance art. But you know, deep down, some things dance because silence has nowhere else to go. He's the smile we wear at funerals, the laugh that escapes during panic, the dopamine glitch in a dying system. The smiling man isn't coming for you. He's already inside you. Every time you pretend you're okay while your mind tap dances in chaos. The rake is a creature of internet-born legend, a pale, humanoid predator that lurks at the foot of your bed, whispering your name before dawn. No legend feels more designed to haunt the sleepless. The rake doesn't roar, it doesn't hunt. It just exists, crouched in the negative space of your room. Every detail of it feels algorithmically tuned to human dread. Eyeless, hairless, the color of unfinished nightmares. I once read a post claiming the rake was humanity's subconscious drawing itself in chalk outlines, a manifestation of the shared insomnia between screens. We invented it to explain why we wake up gasping at 3:27 a.m. with no dream to blame. It's not the monster that terrifies me. It's the intimacy. The rake isn't outside the window or under the bed. It's beside you, watching, breathing, patient, like anxiety given a skeleton and permission to speak. And when it whispers your name, it's not summoning you. It's reminding you. You build it, pixel by pixel, through every late-night doom scroll, every just one more video. It's the price of feeding the internet your sleeplessness. You didn't summon the rake. You raised it. The Midnight Game is an urban legend about an ancient pagan ritual used to punish those who disrespect the gods, inviting a shadowy entity into your home to play hide and seek until 3:33 a.m. It's not a game. It's a performance art piece starring your nervous system. You write your name on paper, prick your finger, drip blood on it, because obviously nothing bad ever happens after that. And then you walk around your house with a candle while summoning a god whose LinkedIn profile just says chaos enthusiast. The instructions are absurdly specific. Knock on the door 22 times, blow out your candle if it flickers, and whatever you do, don't stop moving. Which is ironic, because this ritual turns every step into an existential crisis. The sound of your own heartbeat becomes percussion for a symphony of dread. The Midnight Man doesn't show himself. He doesn't need to. He's the shadow behind you when you convince yourself there isn't one. It's psychological horror stripped to plot. Just you, your fear, and your stupid decision to play tag with divinity. People online treat it like a challenge video. I survived a Midnight Game gone wrong, as if the ancient spirit of punishment cares about click-through rates. But maybe it does. Maybe the Midnight Man isn't haunting houses. Maybe he's haunting algorithms. Every view is an invocation. Every upload, an offering. Sleep tight. You've already played. Polybius is an urban legend about a mysterious arcade game from the 1980s that caused seizures, hallucinations, and psychological breakdowns before vanishing without a trace. This one's digital poison wrapped in nostalgia. An arcade cabinet that appeared in Portland for a few weeks, making kids obsessed, sick, and paranoid. Men in black suits would collect data from the machines, because apparently the CIA decided to beta test mind control through pixelated geometry and 8-bit agony. The beauty of Polybius lies in its vagueness. No one can prove it existed, but everyone remembers someone who remembers it. That's the perfect horror formula. Retro tech, memory decay, and bureaucracy. A haunted government experiment disguised as a game. When you think about it, Polybius isn't fiction, it's prophecy. Every app on your phone is a cleaner version. Dopamine hits measured, behaviors tracked, attention harvested like digital wheat. Polybius didn't vanish. It evolved. It's every push notification that interrupts your thoughts, every endless scroll that makes you forget what you were doing. We're all players now. The screen hums. The data men in black wear hoodies, and the leaderboard is your lifespan divided by screen time. You don't insert a coin anymore. You pay with presence. Congratulations. You've already lost. The Mothman is an urban legend about a red-eyed, winged creature first sighted in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, often seen before disasters as a dark omen. The Mothman isn't a monster. It's a deadline with feathers. People see it before bridges collapse, before chaos erupts, and they call it prophecy. But I think it's just an auditor, an accountant of human tragedy with impeccable timing. You see those eyes glowing like two traffic lights malfunctioning in the void, and you know something bad's coming. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon. The Mothman is that feeling in your gut when your phone buzzes at 2 a.m., and you just know it's not good news. It's anxiety given wings, a serotonin-depleted angel doing reconnaissance for fate. I like to imagine it sitting on power lines, sipping dread like espresso, whispering, "They'll call me a myth again." It doesn't attack. It observes. Because what's scarier than being watched by something that doesn't even need to harm you? It already knows you'll do that to yourself eventually. Maybe the Mothman doesn't bring disasters. Maybe it mourns them before they happen, some cosmic empath, trapped between caring and warning, watching us pretend we don't see the bridge cracking. And when it flies away, it's not leaving. It's just making room for what comes next. The Goat Man isn't a monster. It's a mirror that bleeds. You tell yourself it's folklore, a campfire story to keep the kids entertained while mosquitoes gnaw at their ankles. But every story like this starts as a warning, a coded message left behind by someone who saw something they shouldn't have. The Goat Man is that something, part man, part goat, all panic. He lives between trees, between thoughts, between versions of yourself that can't agree on who you are anymore. Picture it. A group of friends huddled around a campfire, heat licking their faces while the night swallows everything else. There's laughter, the kind that doesn't last long enough to be real, and someone's telling a story. Maybe it's about a creature that mimics voices. Maybe it's about the woods being alive. The air is too still. The smoke curls upward like a warning flare, and somewhere in the dark, a twig snaps. Everyone looks up, pretending not to care, pretending they didn't hear it, pretending the woods aren't full of teeth. That's where the Goat Man begins. Not in the shadows, but in the silence between disbelief and recognition. It's a shape that learns yours, a voice that borrows your tone, a laugh that arrives half a second too late. Its imitation is predation, camouflage at a psychological level. And maybe that's what makes it worse than any clawed, roaring beast. It doesn't need to overpower you. It just has to be you, better. The first time people see it, they always say the same thing. It looked like him, but wrong. That's the horror, not the horns, not the legs. The wrongness, subtle, surgical, like an AI-generated version of your best friend. 90% accurate, 10% uncanny valley. You want to believe your brain's overreacting. You want to rationalize. But fear doesn't negotiate. It multiplies. I keep thinking about that idea, the creature that mimics you until you can't remember what you sounded like before it arrived. That's every friendship built on performance. Every social group held together by politeness and shared denial. The Goat Man doesn't invade your group. It just introduces a question. Who are we when we stop pretending? The campfire starts feeling smaller. The shadows stretch longer. Someone jokes about Goat Man vibes. Nervous laughter. Then someone goes missing just to pee, they say, and comes back a minute later. Maybe it's them. Maybe not. The Goat Man doesn't rush. He doesn't need to. He waits for your uncertainty to ferment. He knows you'll do the rest yourselves. Humans are efficient like that. Turn paranoia into a group project. Now the whispers start. Didn't he go left, not right? Wasn't he wearing something different? Why is he so quiet now? The Goat Man smiles somewhere in the dark because it's not about him anymore. It's about you. He's the infection that makes the antibodies fight each other. The legend says he can mimic voices, but I think that's too easy. He mimics comfort. He speaks like someone you trust and tilts his head just right, and you follow him deeper into the woods because believing is easier than doubting. And what's terrifying is that he never has to kill anyone. He just watches while you destroy each other. Suspicion is a more elegant weapon than claws. By the time the fire burns out, no one remembers who lit it. You're counting heads, and the number keeps changing. Every time you blink, the group rearranges itself, and someone says, "Wait, weren't there only 7 of us?" But there are 8, or 6, or maybe 1. That's the goatman's real genius. He doesn't feed on blood. He feeds on certainty. And we have none left. When I was younger, I used to think the Goatman was a story about monsters in the woods. Now I think it's about people at dinner parties, the performance of normalcy, the subtle mimicry of social behavior. We adjust our tone, copy each other's slang, laugh when others laugh, nod at the right beats. We become one organism, pretending to be many. Tell me that isn't possession. Tell me the Goatman isn't already among us, wearing cologne and small talk. Every social group has one night where things get weird. Someone gets too honest. Someone else gets too quiet. And suddenly everyone realizes they don't actually know each other that well. That's when the Goatman steps in. Not literally. He doesn't need to. He's in the glance you give your friend when you can't tell if they're joking or confessing. He's in the awkward silence when the laughter dies and nobody knows why. Imagine being the Goatman, an immortal shapeshifter doomed to observe the human condition from just outside the circle. He must envy us, or pity us, or both, because we keep doing his job for him, imitating, pretending, blending. Maybe he started as a man who wanted to belong so badly, he shed his skin to fit in. Maybe the horns came later, as punishment for caring too much about being included. That's the real horror, isn't it? Wanting to belong. Because belonging always comes at a price. You give up small pieces of yourself to match the rhythm of the group until you can't remember what your own voice sounded like. And one day, someone looks at you and says, "You've changed." But they've changed too. Everyone's pretending they're the original, but no one remembers what the original looked like. The Goatman doesn't replace people. He just waits until you can't tell the difference. And maybe he's right to wait. Maybe humanity is the ultimate mimic species. We survive by imitation. We learn to smile when sad, to laugh when scared, to keep our heads down when the room demands it. Every handshake is a small surrender. Every smile is a tiny mask. The Goatman just stripped away the pretense and made it visible. That's why people fear him. He's too honest about what we already are. Some versions of the story say the Goatman's voice cracks, like 2 tones overlapping, one real, one wrong. I think that's what it feels like to lie to yourself. 2 frequencies fighting for dominance. The voice you present versus the one that screams beneath it. Spend enough nights around that campfire, and you'll start to hear the second voice too, the one whispering, "You don't fit here." The one that sounds like you, but isn't kind. And then there's the mimicry. The legend says he calls your name from the dark, perfectly replicated. But imagine hearing your own voice out there, your exact tone, your exact phrasing, calling for help. Wouldn't you go? Wouldn't you be curious? That's the trap. Not fear. Recognition. You follow yourself into the woods because you always wanted to meet the version of you that got away. It's not really about goats or horns or even death. It's about the dissonance of being known. The Goatman doesn't destroy you. He just introduces you to yourself, stripped of pretense. The version that doesn't laugh at the right times, doesn't blink enough, doesn't quite belong. The version that's been watching through your own eyes, waiting for you to notice. I wonder if that's why the woods are always part of the story. The forest is a perfect mirror, alive, tangled, and indifferent. You shout into it, and it shouts back, distorted. That's how the Goatman survives, as an echo with teeth. You think you're hearing something else, but it's just your own voice fed back through the dark until it sounds inhuman. Some nights I think the Goatman isn't real, but something worse is the idea that he could be that somewhere right now. A group of people are sitting in the dark, arguing over who's real and who's pretending. That one of them is smiling too much. That one of them is about to speak in someone else's voice. And maybe this is the cruelest part. When the goat man finally does appear, no one notices. They're too busy arguing, too deep in disbelief, too busy saying, "That's not funny." He doesn't need to scare you. He just needs to exist long enough for you to question reality. After that, you'll never trust what you see again. We think horror is about the unknown. It's not. It's about the almost known. The shape that's familiar enough to seduce, but strange enough to destroy. That's the goatman's form, a perfect halfway point between belonging and horror. Sometimes I dream about him, not as a creature, but as an idea. I'm standing in a crowd, and everyone's face flickers like a glitch. I try to speak, but someone else speaks first, in my voice. They tell the story for me. They laugh at the right times. They look more like me than I ever did. And everyone listens to them instead. That's the nightmare. Being replaced so subtly that even you start believing the copy. People always ask why he's half goat, half human. I think it's symbolic, half instinct, half intellect. The split between our civilized mask and our animal core. We're all hybrids. We pretend we're rational, but fear still runs the system. The goat man is the overlap, the border crossing where logic meets primal terror. And when you see him, you're really seeing the fracture line between what you are and what you pretend to be. Sometimes I think the goat man doesn't live in the woods anymore. He lives in group chats, in social media threads where everyone starts to sound the same. Mimicry is culture. You scroll and see your own thoughts repeated by strangers, your phrases repurposed, your tone imitated. It's comforting until it isn't, until you realize the echo chamber has teeth. The modern goat man doesn't need to mimic voices. He just feeds on your desire to be understood. He takes your language, your cadence, your pain, and reflects it back until you can't tell where you end and the algorithm begins. You want a connection, you got imitation, and that's how it ends. Not with blood, not with screams, but with quiet substitution. You tell your story, and something else starts telling it better. You fade, it stays. The goat man doesn't kill. He archives. You think you're still around the campfire, safe with your friends. But listen closely. The laughter doesn't sound right. Someone's repeating the same phrase you said earlier, exactly the same way. You turn to look, but they're already looking back. And in the reflection of their eyes, you see your own face, smiling wrong. That's when you realize the goat man didn't replace anyone. He never had to. You've all become him. Voices echoing in circles, afraid of silence, terrified of being the only one left real. And the fire crackles, and the night leans in, and someone asks, "Who started telling the story again?" No one.